I have lost some weight. I don't feel good when I eat all this meat. I really don't feel good. My stomach doesn't feel good. But you know what? I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to lose the weight, and then I'm going to come off it. And she's like, and you need to go on medication. You need to go on the medication because this is a real problem, and you can have a stroke any minute.
I feel like this falls under something of like story time, something like that. And I hope the lighting and everything is fine because I'm not going to retape this. I think talking about yourself is never my favorite thing to do. Your life and all that sort of thing. So let's just run through this, and I'm taping this because I'm hoping that it can be of value to anyone who is in my circumstances or has gone through similar situation as mine. I think that as far as I can remember, I've always had problems with my weight. Over 10 seem to be a little bit more clearer, because that's around that age that I moved to Canada, and I was born in the Caribbean. And as I remember being in the Caribbean, I was very active, always running, always outside playing, always jumping jacks, skipping, things like that. I'm very, very active, like every day, active, like just running was day to day and very enjoyable life. And of course, circumstances like that, you're always eating healthy, right? So fruits were picked directly from the tree, and the food came directly from the earth. So I was very healthy, and I remember being fit, very active, fit child. When I came to Canada, and as I remember, it was directly from school to home, and that was it. I was on a track and field team, but that was it. We didn't practice all the time. It was kind of like a summer thing. And so apart from that, I wasn't doing very much activity. And I think it's around that time that my body began to change, in the sense that managing my weight became very difficult. And of course, eating changed too, because I wasn't eating fresh, picked from the tree, picked from the earth, kind of thing. It was more things that came in cans and bags and that sort of thing. You went to the fish market and you get fresh fish, yes, and fresh chicken, yes. But with that being said, it wasn't as fresh as I was living before, right? And so I remember funny thing is that I remember eating a lot of mac and cheese as a child, and it was kind of like an overnight change from somebody who was eating fresh food and healthy food and running and stuff like that, to eating mac and cheese and noodles for lunch every single day. Because I don't know about anybody else, but you get thrown into eating so much carbs, your body become addicted to it, right? And that's what I wanted. I could pretty much have whatever I wanted for lunch, in terms of, because I remember going to school and coming home and getting lunch, and I could pretty much make whatever I want to eat, and I wanted to eat stuff that came out of the package, and breakfast time was always things like Frosted Flakes, sugar cereals that you could smell when you open up those packs. You could smell the sugar. And so it wasn't very difficult to become addicted and overweight, right? And so I struggled with that. I think a long time I struggled with my weight. I struggled with my weight through, high school. I struggled with my weight through university. Well, not so much struggle. It was a fight. It was a back and forth through university because, of course, I was on campus, and so I had access to a gym, and so I would work out like crazy, and then I would stop for some time, and so it was a fight. It was a constant fight, and I remember when I finished and I got my first apartment and everything, I said, that's it. I'm done with this back and forth struggling with my weight. One summer I was looking fantastic and the other summer it was like, out there crazy. I said, this is it. I am going to lose weight. And that wasn't the only time I've said that, but that time I did progress quite a bit. I think I lost like maybe 65 pounds, something like that, and I looked fabulous. And what I did was I ran. I woke up at 5 o'clock every morning and I ran, and when I was up and out, there was nobody else around, and it was cold, and I stuck to it through summer, through winter. I stuck to it, and then when I got the body that I wanted, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I want. And everybody was telling me how fantastic I looked, and I wasn't as diligent anymore in exercising. I was like more enjoying the fruit of my labor. But what I've come to realize is that you never can do it and put it aside and say, I have accomplished it. It's an ongoing thing that you have to do consistently. Just when you come from a background of fighting for, being healthy, bringing down your weight, it's something you can never say, okay, I'm going to exercise, get it done, and be done with it. You have to keep it up, right? I got to the point where I was doing well. I understood what I needed to do, and I think a lot of people overweight and who've gone yo-yoing back and forth understands what they have to do, but it's the doing it part of it that's a problem. It is being consistent, right? Is the consistency of it all. So I had gained back the weight, and I wasn't feeling good about myself, and I said, you know what, I am so sick and tired of this. I am done with this. Again, another time of being done with it. And so I was watching online, was watching YouTube, and I saw this guy that was talking about, and I've seen him before, but I really wasn't paying much attention to him because at this point, my husband and I had been vegan for a couple of years, and we're good with that. That's what we're doing. But the problem with that and me is that being vegan doesn't necessarily mean healthy, right? And actually eating whole foods are like two totally different things. And we were vegan, and I was very considerate of my sugar intake. So of course, I'm reduced sugar, like no table sugar kind of thing, just honey here and there, but carbohydrates, right? Carbohydrates, lots of carbohydrates, bread, pasta, flour, all that kind of stuff. And so I said to myself, you know what, I'm sick of this. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to follow this guy, because he was saying, and I'm not going to say who it is, but he was saying, and still is saying, you can be a carnivore, you can eat meat, and if you just concentrate on the protein intake, just get, what was it, 130 gram protein every day, you can lose the weight and it will stay off. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I tell my husband I'm going to do this, and he says to me, you're crazy. We already know, we have research, we have lived this life, we know that's not the way we want to live. We don't want to be eating meat. I said, you know what, I agree with you. However, I am sick and fed up of this weight. I just want to get rid of it. So I am going to do this. I'm going to go on a high protein diet. So I went on a high protein diet, and I was on it for like maybe 2 months or so. It was short 2 months. It was not actually full 2 months. And I was getting sick. I was feeling pain in my chest. But you know what? I was like, I'm still sticking to this, because consistency, right? So I need to be consistent, stick to this. You stick to it long enough, it'll work out, right? So I went to my doctor to get a regular checkup. I hadn't had a checkup in a little bit, so I had actually gone in for a different reason, to bring my daughter in to get her checkup, and which is my doctor as well. And she was like, well, did you book your appointment? And she pretty much forced me to book the appointment, because I'm like, you know what, I'm on this diet, I'm doing well, I have lost some weight, I don't feel good when I eat all this meat. I really don't feel good, my stomach doesn't feel good, but you know what, I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to lose the weight, and then I'm going to come off it. That was the plan. So on the diet, and it kind of got easy to get the amount of protein, because jerk chicken, and so I would get that for lunch, and then I went as far as even having beef, and I'm telling you, I haven't had beef in over 20 years, I would say. Really, I have. It's something that was a definite no-no in my home. But I said, you know what? I need, when I'm calculating the amount of protein that I need to have all this, and protein powder and everything. And so I was calculating and weighing and sticking on this diet. So went to see my doctor. She took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was 212, but I know it was 2 something over like 160, something like that. And she was freaking out. She's like, what is going on? She's like, you need to go on medication. You need to go on the medication, because this is a real problem, and you can have a stroke any minute. You can have heart failure any minute. This is serious. You need to be on this medication. And I thought about it, and I'm an anti-medication type of person. I'm very much into my herbs. I'm very much into healthy ways as opposed to medication. And so I said to her, you know what, I'm going to try to see what I can do to bring this down. I'm going to try to. So we talked about it, and then she said, you know what, sit here for another half an hour and we will retake it. I think at the first time she had done it twice, and both of them was extremely high. So she said, sit here for half an hour and Sometimes the testing will be thrown off because of, whether you're stressed out or whatever. So just sit and try to relax and we'll retake it. So that's what we did. And it was still high. It was 197 for the top number. And I don't remember exactly what the low number was, but I know that was extremely high as well. And she said, I'm writing a prescription for you. And I said, no. She's like, pharmacist is downstairs. You just need to go and fill the prescription, and you need to take it right now. You need to start taking it today. And I said, you know what? I know I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. Because I want to try to go without the medication. I don't want to be on medication. I don't want my life to be that, because all my life I have, as I said, work with keeping my weight down. And there was never a time where I thought I had high blood pressure. The only time I had elevated blood pressure was when I was pregnant with my children. But apart from that, I was fine. I work out sometimes. I try to eat more healthy than not. But yes, I was still eating a lot of too much carbs and too much salt. And I'm that type of person. I'm addicted to too much salt than to sugar. Some people really love the sugar, but the salt is my thing. My mind was dead set on the fact that I wasn't or isn't going to take medication. I'm like, this is caused by my behavior. It's a lot of different things. It's being overweight. It's stress. It's not sleeping properly. It's a lot of different things. Not eating properly. So I know and felt confident that I can actually work on it and change that. So she gave me, she said, okay, I'm going to give you a couple of days to work on it, a week actually. And then she called me home and I gave her my results, which hadn't gone down very much, but it did go down to a level that she said, okay, you're not in so much a danger zone as before. So because I was still insisting to her that I'm still not going to take it. She goes, okay, well, you're not in such a danger zone as you were. So we'll pick it up again in 2 more weeks. And so every day I have to take my blood pressure and I write it down so that when I get in touch with her, I can let her know what it is. But she was still insisting that I take it, that I take the medication. And I understand why she was insisting that I take it, because it's a serious issue. It's not easily not to take this medication, because as I said, you can lose your life if you don't, right? So I didn't really take it lightly, but my mind was made up that I am going to work on changing this myself instead of putting pharmaceuticals in my body. That's my take on that. And let me just say that if you're listening to this video, please do not take my word for the decisions you make in your life. You have to decide what's best for you. And actually, I wouldn't suggest to anyone not to take their medication. If your doctor tells you to take your medication, right? I'm just saying what I did for me and what worked for me. And so another thing that the doctor told me was that, because after that she set up a whole set of tests that I had to go and take. Apart from just the regular urine tests and blood tests, I had to go to specialists to have my heart tested And and so when the blood test and urine test came back, she called me and she said, well, it shows that you have this disease. I forgot what it's called, and I really on my next video I'm going to try to get in touch with her to get the name of it. But basically what she says is that I have way too much protein in my system. And like it's as if I have protein poisoning. And again, I'm not telling people what to take and what not to take, but for me, being vegan or whole food really is what worked for me. It really is. The day I left the doctor's office, on my way home, I flagged in my brain trying to figure out what am I going to do, because what I have to do now, and it has to be dramatic, and it has to be something that is going to make dramatic changes in my body right away.